Hello and welcome back to the Villa Filler podcast. I'm here as always with my good friend Dan Wiseman. Dan, how you doing, bro?
Very good, mate. Very good. Love these episodes. And I've got to be honest, mate, two players that I'm buzzing to talk about today.
Mate, it's a throwback to the old style. You know, we used to do these two in one. We've got two very exciting players to talk about today, as you guys would have seen from the title, RODRIGO Bentancur and BOUBACAR Kamara. But before we get into that, first of all, we've got a message from today's video sponsors. Dan, have you ever wanted an app that collates all the scores and news from your favourite teams in the whole of Europe, Dan? Have you ever wanted that?
It's a constant need of mine, mate, because there's always news. That's the thing, is that we love this game. We love the industry of football because it's ever changing, mate, and you need a place to keep up with it all.
And we have that place exactly for you guys. It's One Football. Guys, this app is it's life-changing.
It's great because I use it. So it's great because it's where I pull the stats from for the podcast. So it's like there's all that new stuff as well, but you can track all of the players' stats from like across Europe for all the different leagues, for continental football as well. It's a dream. It's a dream. And the best part, mate, is it's free.
It's free, and guys, it would help support the channel massively if you check that One Football using the link in the description down below. We promise you guys won't be disappointed. There we go. So if you guys haven't checked out One Football yet, for whatever reason, make sure you check it out. It'll be the first link in the description. Now, Dan, I mean, it's been a few days. We thought we'd kind of let this one simmer for a little bit. Things are seeming to build up again. We're seeing Goal report that Villa had scouts watching Bentancur the other day at Juventus in person, which is really good to hear. And I think BT Sport would have had record high viewing figures for any live Serie A match, I think, of the year, because it seemed like everybody was watching this guy. Not too many people know too much about him, which is completely fair. And I think a lot of people are excited with what they see, Dan. I think it's a link that I was especially excited about when it was first announced. I'm having second thoughts right now, but this is a guy he's been capped over 130 times for Juventus. He's come through Boca Juniors Academy, an absolutely fantastic academy. You just got to look at some of the players that have been littered across the whole of Europe over the past decade or so, that have all come through the gates of Boca. It's remarkable, and at only 24 years old to have played about 180 games at club level is certainly nothing to scoff at, Dan. Someone with Champions League experience, a seasoned international almost, who came at the recommendation of Luis Suarez apparently too. That seems like that's what the Suarez call may have been about. But Dan, I mean, it's almost hard to say no to someone with this much pedigree at such a young age.
Mate, I feel like with RODRIGO, there's this like sort of feeling that he's a bit part, that he doesn't really play much. I think, we've seen Juve want to offload a few midfielders. Aaron Ramsey hasn't worked out for injury reasons. He's not a particularly popular figure in Italy because of those. Weston McKennie has played well, but never really felt like he's at home there. And there's always been rumours about him. And Bentancur is another one. It sort of feels like he's never really fit into that midfield. When you think of all the illustrious names that are part of that Juventus midfield, that he's never really fit in, and Arsenal comes into that same bracket. But I mean, to be honest with you, it's just not true. RODRIGO Bentancur plays a lot of football, and I think that's why this is particularly surprising. He plays a lot of football. He is a starter for Juventus. If we look at his numbers, he's played 17 times this season for Juventus, over 1,100 minutes in Serie A. 5 Champions League appearances out of the 6. He's over the past 3 seasons, 33 appearances last season before 30, season before that 31, and the season before that, which is when he joined Juve from Boca Juniors. He made 27 in all competitions. Never before in the past sort of 4 years has he made less than 40 appearances in all comps. So this isn't someone that Juve are looking to get rid of. This is someone that Juve heavily rely on. And the reports in Italy are sort of saying that that's why they're a bit hesitant. The papers in Italy feel it's difficult to imagine that a player is who is starting for Juve, would see himself playing for Aston Villa. And don't get me wrong, as Villa are in a very good place, but even we can understand why that might be slightly surprising, mate. Juve aren't in a great spot right now, and they are looking to, as I said, offload a lot of those midfielders. It's just interesting that they would choose Bentancur over, if this was, we were talking about Weston McKennie or Ramsey or even Arthur, as I listed off, I could understand it. But Bentancur, it's surprising me because he's a rock in that Juve team.
Yeah, it does come as somewhat of a surprise. And I think as well, I think where some people may be getting excited for some of the wrong reasons is the fact that, of course, it's well documented. We feel like we need a 6, especially with Marv not being in the side now. Bentancur isn't your traditional number 6 by any means. Allegri has gone on record and said that he can't sit in front of the back 4. He's too lethargic. He likes to play the game at his own pace. And the heat maps show this guy, he covers a lot of ground. If I remember, channel meme, I know, but if I remember, it'll be on the screen. Bentancur is ideally probably more of an 8, which I think it begs the question, Dan. Are Villa fans just getting it completely wrong? Does Steven Gerrard want a midfield that consists of 3 number 8s that can all just kind of slot in here, there, and everywhere? Because I think if you look at Bentancur, he does probably fit the same kind of profile as a Douglas Luiz, with impressive statistics. Per night he's attempting just about 63 passes with an 87.7% pass completion rate, very good, averaging 23 pressures per 90, which is above average. FBref have the highest at 29 as Alan, and the average is listed as about around the 18 mark. So to see 23 pressures, that's kind of what you want to see. And he's compared to the likes of Jorginho, Kevin Strootman, BOUBACAR Kamara, who funnily enough is someone we will talk about a bit later on, Dan. But them 2 names really stood out because both Jorginho and Strootman are players that like to dictate the game very much at their own pace.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And I think it's interesting that we're in this market for a 6 because if you look at it objectively, Stevie's been a big fan of Marv. It's not like he's someone that he hasn't used or he hasn't lent on. You think back to his first game at Brighton, Marvelous Nakamba starts in the midfield. We then goes to Crystal Palace. Marvelous Nakamba starts in the midfield. Then Man City at home, guess who's in midfield? Marvelous Nakamba. It's like in all of his games, he's used him when he's been available. It's someone that's had a brilliant season. I understand the clamour for the 6th position because it's not something Villa have been able to nail down. I personally don't think our options in that position are as bad as people are making them out to be. I think Nakamba and Luiz is brilliant rotation. I don't think either has let us down this season. I think Luiz is proving more and more capable of playing that position by the game. But I do understand that profile-wise, I've said for a long time that I think we need a figure in that midfield. And that isn't Bentancur, which is interesting, mate. You're right in saying that he isn't that traditional 6 by any means. I feel like he's sort of been labelled with that by Villa fans, but I think it's important to caveat that isn't his job. You referenced those comments from Allegri the other day where he stated that he can't really play that position. And if you go back to his most recent game, that one against Milan, that Villa scouts were previously at, he had a man of the match performance. 60 passes, the most of anyone on the game, with a 94% accuracy, the most of anyone. 78 touches. And don't get me wrong, there are 4 tackles, 5 interceptions, 8 duels won. He had a very good game, but it's a very much an all-action midfielder performance. The amount of touches, the amount of passes he's making, that's not a number 6. That's someone playing slightly more progressively. And so I think it is interesting. To be honest, I am slightly worried about that 8th position because we have a hell of a lot of bodies in there. Especially, if we want to sign Carney down to a new contract, then that's going to come with minutes as well. If we do sign a Bentancur, then that adds to that congestion problem. I think you've got to start making offloads at that point. So it's one that, hey, don't get me wrong, mate, he's a magnificent player and one that I would welcome with open arms. But I just wonder, hey, it's a very good price as well, 16 million. I think that's important to caveat, but I do just wonder if he's the right player that we're looking for.
Yeah, I think the one thing that is going for him is his height. He stands at about 6'1", which is a giant in this team. Let's be honest, we are a very short team. But yeah, I think profile wise, I don't know. I mean, he's an exciting player. Don't get me wrong, guys. We'd love to know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you'd seen Bentancur before, if there's, I know we've got a shout out to Michael Heaney who lives in Italy. I'm sure you would have seen a lot of him, a lot more than we have. So please let us know your thoughts in the comments below, mate. It just doesn't quite seem right now. You know, Douglas Luiz has 18 months left on his contract. There's no sort of signs as of yet that that issue is getting resolved. So are Villa going to look to maybe cash in on Dougie in the summer? That is something to consider, because as you say, mate, this guy isn't going to come into play as a 6. And I think 6 is a really difficult position to recruit for, because you either overpay for an established, you know, destroyer type, you know, someone like an Ndidi of that profile, or, you know, you take a risk on a player who we will talk about a bit later on, BOUBACAR Kamara, who is reportedly available for around the 12 million euro mark. Again, another player with 18 months left on his contract. But, you know, we've kind of seen that if you take that cheaper option, and this isn't referring to Kamara in any ways, but we've seen with Marv just how long it took for that just adjustment phase. It's quite a difficult position to play in, especially if you haven't played in the Premier League before. Of course, I haven't played as a number 6 in the Premier League, so who am I to say anything? But anytime I've sat in front of the back four, mate, I'm absolutely shagged. It is a position you've got to be very fit. It's a very physically demanding position to play in, and the sort of the languid style of Bentancur definitely doesn't lend it to that. So I think, you know, that is potentially an area that is being recruited for, with the view that there are going to maybe be some outgoings. But it's an interesting one. And again, you know, at the price, mate, as you said, it's almost hard to say no. But at what point do we say we have too many number 8s? I think that's a nice debate for people to have in the comments, Dan. But BOUBACAR Kamara, again, this is a really exciting player, Dan. This guy's been linked with the likes of Manchester United, Arsenal, Liverpool previously, some top teams as well, like Bayern Munich, PSG are always in the shout as well. This guy's the real deal, and I find it quite scary, because now that, you know, we're talking about a player who we are only months older than. Like, this is quite scary. This guy, we're talking about a guy who we are only 3 months older than, Dan. And he is potentially the guy to absolutely run Aston Villa's midfield to perfection. And again, this one, maybe the fact that, you know, we're building up a nice little French contingency at the club. We could maybe lean on that. We've got Sanson, Dean, and of course, nobody can forget everybody's favourite fullback, Freddie G. This is a really exciting signing, Dan, and it feels like one. When we talk about signings, Dan, where Villa have kind of jumped the gun to get, you'd think of Danny Ings. Villa have to do the exact same to get this deal done, because this guy is going right to the top.
This is the one I'm hot on. This is the transfer that makes sense, mate. This kid is someone that it's so easy to like just completely fall for. Like, you watch him, just 22 years old. He's the perfect profile, I feel, mate. He's got stature, he can play the 6, but also he can play centre half, which is perfect, because we've got this issue now where Axel's gone. It's not really worth signing you know, third, fourth choice centre half. So having someone that can step in and play that 6, and if they need to, can fill in at centre half with a left foot. Oh, wow. This is what I'm talking about, mate. This guy is, you know, if he's available for 10 million pounds, then I think you absolutely have to go and get him. You know, 24 appearances in all competitions this season for Marseille, 5 of those in the Europa League, 16 starts in Ligue 1, has played I think it's 6 consecutive 90 minutes in a row as Marseille have gone unbeaten in those games. He's strong, he's physical. I love his focus, the way that he plays the game. You know, he's someone that, you know, he came, started to emerge at Marseille around 2017. It seems crazy that he's still only 22. And I mean, he's not massive. He is 5'10", but as you say, mate, as you said, it's one of those where we are a short team. Again, maybe he's not that massive destroyer that we want, but he plays larger than his size. He never shies away from these aerial duels, and I think that's rare in a player that's just 22 years old. 9 appearances for France's under-21s. He's been in the French setup since under-17s. As you say, mate, he's been linked with all of these top clubs. And if he's available for like £10 million, then you have to go and get that.
You do, and it was being reported by Fabrizio Romano when he broke the Bentancur news. Sorry, he's boasting a 90% pass completion rate. He's just. I kind of find it difficult to describe how much we need this guy, Dan. How much less so for just completing, being the final piece of the jigsaw, but this is the kind of player that it kind of leans on that transfer strategy that we spoke about that Villa seem to have ditched. Because let's be honest, even if Villa are established or chasing sort of Champions League football in 2 or 3 years' time, Dan, this guy is going to have a significantly large resale value. He's all action. He's everywhere on the pitch. And again, he's really exciting. He's averaging about 80 touches per game. Really influential, holding down the base of that midfield, averaging 1.2 interceptions, 1.6 tackles. That's the kind of presence you want in your midfield, mate. And I think ultimately, Villa just have to get this done. I don't think I felt this passionately about Villa getting a deal done in the longest time. He's just an absolute star, and before you know it, we're going to see him in a French shirt, if not more regularly, because I just think he's one of them players. He's destined for the top. You look at a Kante, of course, height is not his gambit, but he's as physical. He gets about. He is like a Kante regen. I think a lot of players say that about these sort of sixes, Dan, and it gets banded about a bit too much. And I know we're guilty of saying the same about Marv being the Zimbabwean Kante, but Kamara is probably the closest thing to that, isn't he, mate?
He's someone that I think, he's out of contract in the summer, so that's why he is just £10 million. Marseille aren't a club that is strapped for cash. This is well known, and so it's looking like if they would want to cash in rather than lose this guy for free. There's just 22 years old. As I said, can play those 2 possessions. That pass accuracy being up in the 90s. Is so appealing because that's so important to the way that we're going to play under Stevie. It's only on about 30 or 40 grand a week, apparently, as well. There's all these rumours that apparently United have put a contract on the table that would triple those wages. I don't think he's the answer to United's problems. I think, just to be able to anchor that Man United midfield, you need a midfielder the profile of a Casemiro or someone like that, genuinely someone of that ilk, because it's such a job to sit at the base of that United midfield that, no disrespect to BOUBACAR Kamara, but I think, that is such a hard role, and I think it's one that not many people will fancy, because I think a lot of people will look at that sort of Man United midfield and see the job is on their hands to try and stabilise that. Apparently Leeds are in for him as well, and I mean, God forbid if we're not a more attractive prospect than Leeds right now. I don't know what's going on. So mate, it does. There's more reports linking us to Bentancur. And look, as I said, I don't want to get this twisted, mate. I would welcome him with open arms. Rodrigo Bentancur is a better player. All I'm saying is I think right now, I think Kamara is a better fit.
Yeah, no, for sure. I 100% agree, mate. And I hope that there is a bit more validity to this than appears. It's not one that's, it doesn't seem anywhere near as close as what's going on with Bentancur. So hopefully, something can get sorted. We can get this one over the line, mate, because wow, I mean, what a frightening prospect we're going to be next season, making all these additions right now. But guys, If you enjoyed this transfer rumour mill, let us know in the comments down below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss a podcast from Dan and I. And also, if you haven't, check out OneFootball in the top link in the description. You guys won't be disappointed. So like, comment, subscribe, and up the Villa.